Well done. What did you make of it?
As you expected, always going to make it really hard for you. And of course, we had a few chances. Second half, we could have been more comfortable towards the end. We had a few decent chances, to be fair, to finish the game off. But we don't like it to make it easy for ourselves. We make it hard for ourselves.
What's going through your mind in that first half, in particular, the way that West Ham are set and they're making it so difficult for you?
It's about not giving them turnovers all the time. First 15 minutes, we kept giving the ball away every time we attacked. And that's, you don't build pressure, you don't build momentum, they counter-attack, and it's like end-to-end game. So it's about calming the heads down, get more composure, play, and then eventually you'll get chances, and hopefully you can take them. We didn't, but it was a good set play, and we scored.
Is it a case of believing in your methods and believing just keep doing what you're doing and it will come?
Yeah, don't open up stupidly, because you know they're very big threats on counter-attacks if you give them any set plays. So just keep composed, be organised, and the chances will come.
And how different a prospect were they once they'd gone behind and changed their approach?
Well, they put you more under pressure, of course, but that gives you more chances to counter-attack and find spaces yourself. We created massive opportunities, but the last pass, the final pass or the final finish wasn't good enough. Could have been 2 or 3 comfortably, but then again it could have easily ended up in our net towards the end, because you know they're always a threat.
Ultimately though, the most important thing was the 3 points, and as you said in your programme notes today, it's about consistency and about improving on last season.
Yeah, definitely a big weekend for us this, big 3 points. We know West Ham are challenging to get into top 4, so big result. We kept a clean sheet again, which we've done really well lately defensively. So the attitude, desire, determination is getting better. And then the experience and confidence will come, because we're still a young team, young players up front there. We've had a few injuries, but the ones who've played, they've performed. Is
it also equally important that you keep the momentum going as well? Because you've got another huge week in front of you this week.
Yeah, big week. Europa League and FA Cup. So we're looking forward to getting a few players back, hopefully, for Thursday. And then hopefully put a good performance out.
Thanks, Ollie.
Thank you. Cheers.
They just one defeat in 23 games now for Manchester United. The table says, Michael, they're the second best team in the Premier League at the moment. They are the closest to Manchester City. Just are they, do you think, consistently?
Oh, that's a good question.
It's taken me 6 hours.
Yeah, the table obviously says it, so you've got to lean with that. I still watch them and try to fathom out what is a Manchester United style. What does Ole Gunnar Solskjaer tell them before the game? Do they, because to me the team actually sits there and it looks like they've got counter-attacking off to a T. I think they're a fantastic counter-attacking team. Still have questions about them when they're playing against, teams that like to sit and defend. And don't get me wrong, that's not easy to do. It's not easy to break, 11 men down. But I still don't see when I close my eyes and think of Manchester United, I know what they used to look like 20 years ago. You just knew what Manchester United were. Now, I still think they're a work in progress. So I think second best in the league. Probably, but I don't think anybody's, Man City are far and away. Liverpool are the second best, really. Liverpool are the second best.
Though, are they?
Well, not in recent weeks, but they are. I'd say they are the second best team.
When they're 8th?
Yeah, but I still think they are. They're they're recent European champions.
Not the way they're playing now, Mick. Not the way they're playing now. You can't. You've got to do it on
Stop laughing when you're talking.
I'm not laughing.
No, you're trying to wind me up. No, listen, they're reigning at Premier League champions, so they're still, a very good team. They're just in a bad patch. Chelsea are looking good as well. I don't know. You could argue, like obviously we're doing now, if they're the second best.
Debating, I think.
Yes, yeah. Debating.
Where are you on the current Manchester United team, then?
A little bit similar to Michael. I think they're a side that they've got players, individual flair. When they've got a bit of space, people like Rashford and Greenwood, when they've got some space, they'll use it and they'll punish you. When they've got to open a team up, that's where I think there's only Fernandes that's got a pass in him in many ways, and they're finding it hard. They relied in the end on an own goal, a set play. They created a couple of good chances. They're not clinical enough when it's tight, when they're under pressure. So if a team's going to defend deep, and like West Ham did, particularly first half, those chances, you're always going to be under pressure. When you're counter-attacking, you're going to get space. that you're sucking the team onto you to hit, and they've got pace in the team. So when you think about Martial, Rashford, Greenwood, for instance, James, they're all decent, more than decent, when they've got space and it's the game, the pitch is open, what I call open, you're 1v1. Now, that doesn't always happen against teams. Teams are going to bank... Rarely.
Yeah, against Man United.
Against the top teams, maybe you might do that to City. What they did and what they did to City is a prime example. In Europe, they might be able to do it, but when they've got to unlock a defence, they're still not quite there. I'm with Michael. I'm not like thinking... I see Chelsea as a team with their shape and they know what they're doing and there's an identity more than perhaps Man United at this moment in time.
I think that's the word, identity. That's the word I was missing before. I like Manchester United. I think they're very, very good, and I think they can go to anywhere. We've seen them go to the Etihad in recent years and win. They can beat anyone on the day, and they've got unbelievable players. You know, Pogba's probably another one that can unlock a pass. But that identity, I'm still waiting for it to develop into something that I think, boom, that's Manchester United. That's what I'm looking at now.
I think when you look at like the chances, we know that they are counter-attacking side. That's what they do. We see they don't break teams down very well. And even like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said there, it's even when they get into a position where they should be confident and going at teams at home, they give the ball away. The last pass is sloppy and stuff like that. And then you get chances like what Rashford had, which you take those chances, the team have to play differently. Maybe have to come out, you might maybe get a little bit more space, but, excuse me, when that doesn't happen, they just stay in like West Ham did, and then it's very difficult for them to break down. But when you look at the way that they are playing and what they've done under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, he's the best. Since Alex Ferguson, he's the best manager. What they've done, they haven't won anything, but you know what I mean. They have got to a stage with all the managers that they've had up to this point where he has performed the best out of them. He needs to win something. There's a lot of changes happening at minute, Gaffer, but for me, they still need more than just Bruno Fernandes to unlock and create something.
See there, that move we just put together there, Fred had 30 yards of space to turn on it. He threaded a good ball through to Fernandes, who's got space. Then that's where they're dangerous. That's when they've got time and space. For me, at times, I wonder whether they need McTominay and Fred playing square and in that deep position. There's got to be games where you get to say, I need more creation. Somebody, you know, if Fernandes isn't on his game, who else is going to open this team up? And I think there's time, you know, is it Van der Beek? He hasn't shown it yet, but he hasn't really been given a chance. No. If Pogba's out of the team because he's injured, if he's not going to get a chance then, when is he going to get a chance? But it always seems that they want to play these two holding players, that's it, and then we'll go from there. And there's certain times I think, you need a bit more than that because you can't keep relying on an own goal or a set play. The facts are, they've, what is it, 1 in 21? Is it 1 in 21?
They've lost. 23.
Since they've lost. I mean, you can't knock that, can you? And they're second in the league, but there's still something missing there, big time.
I think you look at, as well, with Van der Beek, Donny Van der Beek, we're talking about somebody that from the age of, 8, 9, when he's at Ajax, he's built on a possession-based kind of game. So even that son, you have to say, he is a very, very good player. But how can you play in this Man United side the way he's been brought up to play when they're not a possession-based side? They're a counter-attacking side. So then you look at him and you think, well, how's he going to come in and all of a sudden make a difference? I've watched him a few games and he's tried to get into that 10 space where he's in the spaces to try and make... It's not happening for him because they're not keeping the ball long enough for him to move and do his thing. So it's going to be something that is going to be interesting to watch with Man United because going forward, they cannot continue playing like they're playing and hoping that Bruno Fernandes is going to do something. Because at the moment, if you look at him as well, he's looking a little bit tired. He's looking a little bit leggy. So, you know, they're asking a lot of him. So something else has got to happen. Pogba hopefully coming back. But, like, they need something more than the way they're playing because, like I say, I don't know what their identity is either.
Glenn says something missing. If hypothetically, he could go out and buy one big player, like City did with Diaz, the big change from last season. When they got Ruben Diaz. Where, not who, but where would that be? What type of player would make that difference to Manchester United to get them closer to the top?
Well, a top centre-forward, I think. I'd like to see pace alongside Maguire because I think that changes the whole dynamic. If they can start defending, you know, man v man, 2v2, 1v1, things like that, I think it just changes the whole dynamic of a team. I don't think they can really do that. They tried to do it against Tottenham early on in the season. I'm scared stiff of committing bodies forward since. So they've been a bit more pragmatic. They never tend to beat teams 4s and 5-0s. If I had one position, though, it would be a centre-forward, right down the middle. You know what? There's one that's on everybody's lips at the moment that a lot of teams actually
Every
need.
club, isn't it?
Every club.
Well, Haaland is obviously the name in question, and virtually every big team at the moment needs a centre-forward. There's so many teams out there that need one. He is going to be hot property when he becomes available, if he becomes available.
If you were the manager of that United team now, would that be the top of your priority?
Yeah, it would be, yeah. I think it's got to be. You need a young Cavani. You got Cavani at the wrong time, 5, 6 years ago. His movement, his hold-up play, like you're saying there, and everything he had, he's got still. And when he plays for United, I see a different United team, even now, at his age. And he's not that old, what is he, 33?
Younger than Jamie Vardy.
Yeah, exactly. And so I would definitely, Haaland would be the one. But as you say, how are you going to get him? Have the days gone where Man United are in for you as a player? Oh, I'm going to Man United. It was Real Madrid or Man United. He's played with both of them, by the way. But, those days, unfortunately, for United, I think have gone. They've got to build that up again. But Haaland would be on everyone's lips, wouldn't he? Every club would want him.
You probably hard. I'd still try and get Sancho as well to go with him. If you can, I envisage if you could have a Man United side that had Pogba, Fernandes, Haaland, and Sancho. You know what I mean? Then you're starting to feel that somewhere along the line you've got to get creativity involved there. Because like my problem with Man United is when I watch them is that they don't keep the ball well enough in that last third where the creativity is needed to open a West Ham up, move defenders around, a link man like the forward who can hold it, keep it there on the edge of the box, play it in and around someone like Fernandes who can slip it into little spaces, and then all of a sudden you can counter-attack or you can play through them. That's what they need, any of those two. You know what I mean? I don't think Sancho's something that they should just give up on because he's creative as well. He goes past people.
The problem they've also got psychologically is the noisy neighbours next to them are that team. They open you up. Even if you bank up against them, they've got the ability from left, right and centre, so many different players, City, to open teams up. And they're their big rivals as well. So they're always at the moment going to be just under that bar because that bar is so high. City are setting that sort of style of play that United used to have back in years ago. City have taken over that mantle.
Take City out of it and we're drooling over Manchester United. The great run that they're on, they'd be top of the league. We'd all be saying, wow, they're back. Very hard to beat. Got pace up front. We'll be talking in a different way. The problem is, as Glenn said, we're comparing everyone against one of the best teams we've ever seen. So, inevitably we're going to be nitpicking, saying they could get better here and they could get more creativity because we're seeing it week in, week out from their neighbours.
OK. And you say today that they had to rely on an own goal. It came from a set play. They take it the way the game was going, though.
Well, I mean, it's a quality ball in. Don't get me wrong. It is a quality ball in, but, West Ham, surprisingly, conceding, be it an own goal, because they don't... That's one good thing they are very good at, defending corners. They don't concede at all. I think this might even be the first one this season that they've conceded. There's the header. He shut his eyes, I think. He's got himself in an awkward position. He's not actually goal side of the ball. The ball actually is coming so quickly that the ball's goal side of him, and it's just hit him, and it's only going one way towards his own goal. He couldn't really get in a position. Didn't have the time because of the pace of the ball that come in. But in the end, that's the difference. That's why they've got across the line at the end. And they've done it time and time again this year. They haven't played particularly with a great style, but they've won the game. And that's not a bad sign.
No. And I must ask you, at the other end of the pitch, Dean Henderson, David De Gea's final day, we understand, of isolation today. 16 starts in a Manchester United goal. That's 10 clean sheets now, and 6 in the last 7.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't have loads to do today, but of course did everything right. You can't complain. That's a fascinating area of the pitch. Manchester United, number one, has been one of the most famous, spoken about positions in certainly British football for the last 20 years. It's a massive position, goalkeeper at Manchester United. And there hasn't been many questions for quite a few years, but now David De Gea's made a few mistakes. Henderson's looking very good, had his experience out on loan, and now he's come back and, You know, not really been putting a foot wrong, although we did in the last few minutes in midweek. So that is a fascinating position. If he shows himself to be good enough to take over the gloves full time, as in now, then I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will stick by him and leave David De Gea out. If he doesn't, if he thinks he might need another year, then I think De Gea will be back in.
I think that's a really good point, but also his performance today, that mistake has not played on his mind. And that's good for a young keeper at a big club like United, when it's all on you, you know, to go out there and show the character. You wouldn't have thought that. You wouldn't have thought that he'd played a big mistake in a big game for United, two-legged affair. They've now got to go away from it. He's gone out there and put that behind him, and he said, right, I've still got this opportunity to get that jersey. And he performed like that today.